Hi and welcome to this video. This is my second or third video for the day, depending on how you're looking at it. So my pre-market video is usually first, second was a video on university press, and this should be my third video. I usually do two, but I opted to include this because there are players in the same space. They have very few players in that space. So how did FY25 fare? FY25, yes, it's correct. The company runs a rather odd financial year. So the financial year ends in March. Most firms on the stock exchange in Nigeria have a January to December financial year. So FY25 was a decent year. Revenue up 26.8%. Profit up. Yes, you have a huge bump in profit, but that's because FY24 was a horrible year due to the devaluation of the naira that literally affected lots of firms. Dividend wise, it's not a bad result. Companies paying out about 60 something percent of dividends. Dividend yield, yes, you might say is small, 6.32%. It will be paying a dividend of 35 kobo a share, which isn't bad. Now, in terms of the deeper dive into the numbers, you can see, unfortunately, they don't give a detailed split compared to the previous video university press. All we have is a split according to region. The behavior or the trends are what you would see in the other players. Western region accounting for about 38 odd percent of total revenue. In number terms, Western region accounting for literally um, almost half of total revenue. So it's a pretty decent result, most of aside the slight dip in headline revenue or head office revenue. Now, I wish this firm had given some more color by providing profits per region. They didn't do that. And as well as providing a split by the book category. They didn't do that as well. So now, my view on the stock, and as always, please note this is not investment or trading advice. The reason why I say so is these are my views based on my perspective. It may or may not, and in fact, it very likely may not be for you because your investing has to be based on your own age, goals, demography, income, as well as risk appetite. So this is just my view. I can give a view on anything, on sports, on politics, on entertainment, whatever it is, in the same way one can give a view on investments and stocks. Now, at its current price, it's trading about 8.9 times earnings. Simply put, it means investors are willing to pay 8 times its profit per share or 8 times its earnings per share. And why would they be willing to do so? I mean, I don't have the average growth rate of earnings here. I wish I had done that. Probably will include it in the written version. By the time this video is up, articles should be up on greentickertales.com. So you can go check them out for more details on that. But if it's growing, and I would assume just by the trend in this space, if it's growing earnings somewhere around 15 to 20%, or even if you say 25 to 30% per annum, it means every 4 or 5 years you would have this firm doubling its revenue. So if its earnings per share is 62 kobo this year, you can estimate that in 4 years it probably will be earning a kobo and 30 or 1 naira and 30 or 1 naira and 50 kobo. If you use a 5 or 6 times earnings multiple, it means that at that point in time, it probably should be trading somewhere around a 7.5 to 9 naira. So if I believe that in 3 4 years, the stock is essentially going to do 50% or so in value based on that estimated growth in earnings, then it makes sense. However, and I expressed this in the article I wrote, I think that this stock, these sectors generally are more of dividend plays. So even though we are in a bull market now, stock market is moving positively. If one is able to catch this stock in a downturn at say 4 naira 50 kobo or a 5 naira, then your dividend return starts to make more sense. And being in the publishing space, the core customer base, secondary schools, primary schools, a lot of that money ultimately, or a lot of the payments ultimately for those books are made by the government. Since that is the case, you very likely what you would have would be some constancy in income As I said, I think in the previous video, yes, you have the threat of electronic books, but electronic books will not be coming to the vast majority of primary schools and secondary schools owned by state and federal governments anytime soon, because you would need to have your IT infrastructure and IT training and IT teaching and facilities doing decently well. Unfortunately, that's not happening anytime soon, but fortunately, from a forecasting perspective, it makes your forecasting easy. So, thank you for joining. Have yourselves a great day. Please like, share, subscribe. It helps with the channel. It may look like a small deal, but it is a big deal. I can always say one of the reasons why I opted to do this, and you can do a Google search or you can do a search on YouTube. You have barely 100 channels that are producing content on Nigerian stocks. So the more we push the channels that produce content, the more people can learn, the more it's available, and the more people can become better at literacy and learning and investing. So have yourselves a great day ahead and see you on Friday pre-market.